All right. The next thing is the John Wall situation. Now, before I get into all that stuff, how is it just taken this long that they've agreed on a trade? Like,
I know it feels like it should have been done a very, very long
yeah,
time ago, to be honest.
like what was stopping the Houston Rockets from like saying this? Like, they already knew they weren't starting John Wall from the get go. They knew they
Yeah.
were never going to start him. They were going to start Porter Jr. at point guard, and they were going to start Green at shooting guard. John Wall, Porter Jr., and Green, they were never going to do that. I don't think
No,
he'll
no
play a
way.
game ever again for the Rockets. I think he'll sit the season out until he gets a trade. They don't want to play him. They don't need to play him. But if they can agree to say, all right, we're not going to play you, but guess what? You're still getting paid. Then John Wall's going to sit back, crack a beer open, and he's just going to be like, yeah, whatever.
I mean, yeah, he certainly wouldn't say no to that, but it feels like we've hardly seen John Wall play for years and years now. We saw him a little bit last year, but yeah, he was never going to be a player in any sort of long term or short term for the Rockets. So
Yep.
it's really confusing how a deal hasn't been reached yet.
And the real question is now, who should trade for John Wall? And before I ask this question, I'm gonna get into like the teams that are apparently interested in him, and I'll get off to the first two questionable ones that I don't think are gonna make any sense. First of all, the Miami Heat. How are Miami going to get John Wall if it's because they're not apparently he's not going to get bought out because apparently there are teams out there that are interested. So
Yeah.
how would Miami get John Wall?
Yeah, I really can't see a world where that happens. I was surprised when you even said that
Yeah,
like they were even in the running to get John Wall, but yeah, that's beyond me. I mean, obviously any team would take John Wall, but
yeah. Well, the Heat just mate. How isn't he like the second highest paid player in the NBA or something? Like
yeah, his
until
contract
Steph's
is
contract,
ridiculous.
yeah, until the other contracts activate, like Giannis and that. But the other team that I
Yeah.
just want to say, it's not happening. OKC fans, sit down. Like, stop. Just sit
Oh,
down.
bro.
You're not getting John Wall. You're not getting a first round pick to take on John Wall's contract. If there is interest from other teams, it's not happening. Stop. Sit
Yeah,
down.
I mean, knowing OKC's front office, I bet we've just said that, and somehow it happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they get some pick out of it, which is clearly what they want. They can just hoard as many picks as they want. They're a really confusing franchise right now, but John Wall just it won't happen.
I want to say this as like uncreepy as I can, but OKC need to stick to scouting the 12-year-olds that they're currently scouting right now. The kids that
Legit
are in
though.
2028 that are supposed to get drafted with their 8th first round picks. Stick to that. Don't worry about John Wall. It's not going to happen. But a team that I reckon this is the favorite in my opinion. If this team does not get John Wall, in my opinion, I think they've somewhat made a mistake here, and that's the Los Angeles Clippers. Like they're in the hot seat right now to trade for him. I thought
Oh yeah.
trading, I thought extending Kennard didn't make any sense because they brought him onto a long-term deal worth about 13 million a year, where Tyloo didn't even want to play him in the playoffs. Then you look at Bledsoe. Why did they trade for him? He's on like $17 million right there. That's $30 million. If you can somehow say now, I'm not too sure if you can. I don't even think you can do this in the NBA. I'm pretty sure you can do this in the NFL. I know you can do this in the AFL. I don't know the rules are as far as this, but if I was the Los Angeles Clippers, what I would say is let's see how the season goes, but let's trade for John Wall near to the deadline. So basically, let's
Oh
just say he's
yeah.
on like a $43 million contract. Once Houston have paid him that 13 million, and you can match it with the Kennard and Bledsoe 30 million, make the trade happen. Get
Oh
John Wall in
yeah.
the team.
That would just be a perfect situation there for the Clippers. And yeah, I can definitely see John Wall being there, especially over these other teams that we've mentioned. And yeah, John Wall, I mean, go for a championship, obviously. Uh, yeah, I think he'd actually fit in all right. And I mean, I'm just excited to finally see John Wall on the floor, hopefully.
Yeah. And with the Clippers as well, like they were looking for a playmaker last deadline. They brought in Rondo. Then for some reason they just decided to trade him away for Bledsoe, who is the complete opposite of a playmaker, which it just didn't make any
Exactly.
sense to me at all. But dude, John Wall would be kind of cool. But can I just say, so this is all being reported by Mitch Lawrence. If you could, like, let's name a team, right, who you think would be the least most interested in John Wall, and I'd probably tell you this team is interested, right? Just think right now. What team in the NBA would be the least most interested in John Wall?
Oh, the Sacramento Kings.
Ooh, that is close. I'll give you a hint though. This team just drafted a point guard.
Did they?
Yeah, that's your hint. Top of your head. What are you coming up with?
What, like early?
Yes, early point guard they took. And
I
it's
can't
not
even remember the
OKC
draft,
because
bro.
we've already talking about that.
Damn, who even?
All right, the team that is interested in John Wall is the Detroit Pistons.
Oh my, no, bro.
And
that was the last thing I was thinking.
This is all being reported by Mitch Lawrence of Sirius XM NBA Radio. The Detroit Pistons. Why would the Detroit Pistons want John Wall?
I mean, a mentoring role? That's
for 43 million?
Yeah, exactly. For that much money. Like, that is really confusing. I mean, I don't understand how that could possibly be true.
The only logical team, I think, are the Clippers. Like, that's the only logical team, in my opinion, that should go out. Or maybe, look, I believe there's somewhat of interest in here. I think I saw a reporter reported. I can't remember off the top of my head. It wasn't that dude who I just said, but I heard the Philadelphia 76ers might be interested. But considering Houston apparently declined a James Harden, Ben Simmons swap last season, I don't think they'd be too interested in Ben Simmons this season. Especially if they were to give up John Wall and a bunch of first-round picks, this and that. It's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, a Simmons trade obviously has to happen now. I mean, they probably don't want Simmons, and to give up all those future picks that they'd have to get him. Wall at the 76ers certainly wouldn't be bad, but I'm not sure that the trade would happen.
The thing is, too, I actually think it's actually good for both teams, though. Like, the Sixers finally get a shot creator. Simmons. Yeah, that they haven't had ever. Like, Fultz was supposed to be that guy, and I actually watched a 30-minute, like, mini documentary on Fultz today, and it's probably another discussion for a different video about the whole Markelle Fultz saga, but...
It's definitely interesting.
Yeah, Ben Simmons as well. Dude, he would be perfect for the Rockets. Like, they need a power forward and a defender, and also need a ball handler. Like, come on now.
Yeah, Simmons is an incredible defender, and I'm not sure why they wouldn't want Simmons, to be honest. But yeah, especially like he's very young still, and centerpiece of your organization if you can keep him happy. I mean, it's hard to pass that up for John Wall, who has that huge contract that they don't want him at all.
Well, yeah, again, in my opinion, it's a win-win for both teams. And like Simmons fits the timeline of the Rockets. Like, I think he's not even 20. I think he's turning 25. And when you think about it, that is not old at all. In my opinion, that fits the timeline.
So young.
Yeah.
Especially in the NBA. And he's not, well, hopefully he's not even hit his prime yet.
You'd hope so. I don't know if Simmons can move forward until he gets at least a mid-range. But considering he had that in the summer league, I don't see why that can't happen.
Bro, he can. I've seen so many videos of him in gyms just pulling up from the hash, bro. He can shoot, but not in an NBA game. And I mean, it's gotten really, really bad at this point. Like, to not have a mid-range jump shot or even a reliable free throw.
Yeah,
like, bro.
And that's why I like going back to Markelle Fultz again. That's why I think Markelle Fultz is the guy Simmons should almost be looking at this point, because at the start of the season, Fultz was averaging, I think it was 20.8 points per game in the first 4 games. And that was just off a mid-range. He shot like 2 threes in that whole time. Like, and then, he had a couple of bad games, but it was supposed to be like Fultz's first full season. Then he did his ACL. But like, if you're Simmons, you should be watching Fultz in those first 3 games, because he's one of the only players in the NBA that like just exclusively use the mid-range. And that's what, if Simmons wanted, that's what Simmons could do. I don't see the issue with it.
no one's telling him he needs to have a 3-point shot. As
Exactly.
important as 3-point shooting is in today's NBA, he's such a talent that if he just developed some sort of mid-range game, he'd almost be unstoppable, to be honest.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Through the wastelands, through the